Mixed martial arts. Mixed martial arts. How do we like our martial arts? Baby, we like them mixed! Whoa!
Yes! First intro to a preview show in 2024. You know what that means? It means the UFC is back. They are back at the world's most famous Apex tomorrow for UFC Vegas 84, the go-home show for the first UFC pay-per-view of 2024. It'll be UFC 297. Nice little table setter, if you will, for the pay-per-view schedule for the Ultimate Fighting Championship. And thank you for joining us for the live UFC Vegas 84 preview show. I am Mike Heck, and boy, do we have a cast of characters today. First, Mr. No Gray Area himself, the Cannonball Kid, the CEO of the John Jones Fan Club, Jed Meshew. Jed, hello, sir.
Dude, it's been so long since we've had the horns. It's so exciting. Look how fun it is when we don't get MMA for a minute. And now I'm pumped about a Magomed Ankalaev fight week. Let's go, baby!
Yeah, and also joining us, a big part of the cabinet for the John Jones Fan Club as well, Mr. New York Rick, Eric Jackman. What an honor and a privilege to have the man with the best theme song in MMA back on the preview shows. How are we doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Mike. Thanks. Happy to be here. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Doing great. We're living the dream. Got
Are
a
you
haircut
doing great,
today.
Eric? It's been a tough week for you, Eric.
No,
You
I'm
got the
doing
verbal
fantastic.
business this week from yours
I mean,
truly. And then
the
Ariel
replies
gave
and
you
the
business
receipts.
again.
The replies and the receipts kind of say different. I don't know. I don't know what you've been getting in your replies, but I think
Just
I
the
think I
verbal
came out on top.
business. That's just anytime you side with the promotion, you don't come out on top.
Well, 6 months down the road when Jed is leading a pack of druids following him to the Gaslight John Jones rally, it's gonna be a wonderful, a weird day in the history of this sport. But that is John Jones and Tom Aspinall. We're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about UFC Vegas 84. New York Rick, Jed sort of laid it out perfectly. We've been on a little bit of a break. We get the horns. We get Casey with the shout out and the shouting to get us all riled up. How excited are you? The UFC is back. They are back at the Apex. And I got to say, New York Rick, there have been far worse Apex cards than this one.
Yeah, in complete agreement. Like, this is a decent showing for the UFC here on a fight night, and it feels kind of like the perfect appetizer to then get back into pay-per-views next week. So I like what they've done here. There's some good fights on here. I dare say, like, there's some fights that could have been on the pay-per-view instead of here that would have made a lot of sense to beef that one up a little bit. But I think because of what you got at the top and the Canadian interest, it'll do well anyway. But I like this for a fight night for sure, especially for an Apex fight night.
Jed,
how you feel? I think you went with a B yesterday on BTL. Is that what you called this one?
Yeah.
Are you graded
it's a rock solid B. And that's what this is. And I kind of said yesterday on BTL, if this was an Apex event in the middle of, I think there's like 5 fights between 299 and 300, like 5 fight nights. If this was just an Apex in that sort of a run, probably look on it a little less fondly. You know, I still think that in a vacuum, good fight card. Got a couple of very meaningful fights at the top. The co-main event just got way more meaningful yesterday, in my opinion. Jim Miller's fighting. You got some really good prospects. Like, there are a lot of the ingredients here for something good, but this stands out. I am excited for this weekend because we haven't done this in a month. This isn't another event that's acceptable in a long road of 12 back to back to back. Like, this is, they have given us time to, spend with our families, miss them. And so I'm excited about a Magomed Ankalaev fight week. And again, I've been driving the Magomed Ankalaev train for the last few years. I have never once been excited to watch him fist fight people, but this weekend I am. Like, because we've had, like, this is the first one back. And I think Eric was totally correct. This is a perfect setup to lead into the pay-per-view next week. Whet the appetite, get things going, get you feeling it up again. And then we get a pay-per-view next week. It's going to be great.
And that, I believe, and I'm not looking at the schedule right now, after the pay-per-view, we get a weekend off, like right away. It's like Apex card, pay-per-view, weekend off, and then it's the road show. We're Apex for a little while, and then end of February, then we start the road show. We're like 4 or 5 cards in a row where we're out of the Apex, which is very nice. So We have a main event here. Magomed Ankalaev versus Johnny Walker, New York Rick. We saw these two get after it in Abu Dhabi. Fight did not last very long. There was no winner. It was a no contest. You could make a compelling argument that Magomed Ankalaev could have been disqualified in that fight with Johnny Walker, but now we get to run it back. First main event of 2024 in New York, Rick. Remember what happened to the guy who won the first main event of 2023? What a story that man became. His name is Sean Strickland. Beat Nasruddin Imavov, which is also a 205-pound fight. Are the stakes just as high here, New York Rick, for this first main event of the year inside the Apex at 205 pounds?
I would say the stakes are probably higher because at the time I didn't expect that all of a sudden Sean Strickland would be in a title fight by mid-year. But I do think that the winner of this is going to have a strong case to be next in the light heavyweight division, pending kind of Jamal Hill's health. So the stakes are high. And I think this is, the showcase fight that they wanted the first time for Magomed Ankalaev, with all due respect to Johnny Walker, who I think is a constantly improving fighter, and somebody who is dangerous when he has these flashes of brilliance. But this feels like the setup for Magomed to have a showcase and then fight for a title. So I think this time we'll actually get that kind of showcase. And the first one was a little bit of a failure to launch. And yeah, the stakes are high because I do believe that this will put somebody next in line or one back for the title.
Yeah, what do you think about the stakes of this fight, Jed? We'll get into the betting odds, which I haven't looked at really all week, but I'm looking at them right now. And while I'm not surprised that Ankalaev is a favorite, I'm kind of surprised he's this big of a favorite, considering how the start of that first fight went. But I mean, obviously,
he's
we didn't
a
learn
bigger favorite than the first fight.
Yeah, which is crazy. But talk about the stakes here, because we have Ankalaev, who has fought for the vacant belt in a fight that Dana is not a fan of at all. And to this day, I still don't understand why he hated that fight so much. But it seems like the road for Ankalaev to get to a title fight is going to have to be just him just darting dudes left and right and proving that he could be an exciting guy. Well, Johnny Walker, for most of his career, has been an exciting guy, but has had some stinkers as well. Do you feel that the stakes are super duper high here, especially with Alex Pereira as the champion? And in a world where availability is your best friend, how much does that factor into the result of this fight?
So I've had some time to think, Mike, and I think, because I don't want to put words into your mouth, but it feels like you're living in 2023. And that's not, we're in a new year, Mike. 2023 was the year where, availability was the best ability and righteousness does not prevail. And it's just, things are just going to get a little wonky. And yet at the start of this year, we've already seen 2 times the right thing has happened. Arman Sarukian, we fight Charles Oliveira. That's the correct fight to make. Dustin Poirier will be fighting Benoit Saint-Denis. Correct fight to make. We are seeing justice done. And I think 2024 is that year for us. And it will be that year because the winner of this is going to fight Alex Pereira for the belt. I think last year, and honestly, if you'd asked me this question a month and a half ago, I would have been like, if Walker wins, yes, because that fight is imminently sellable. But if Ankalaev wins, they hate him, so they're just not going to let that happen. But this is the year of justice. This is the year of truth and honor and dignity. Magomed Ankalaev can win an ugly fight here, and he will get to fight Alex Pereira because, tell you what, they just kind of need somebody to fight Alex Pereira at UFC 300 at this point in time. And I still believe that the most likely main event for 300, as I said yesterday, is that it's Israel Adesanya versus either Dricus du Plessis or Sean Strickland if they can turn around quickly. But if they can't, maybe they just say, F it. Let's get Alex Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev at 300 or 301. We have pay-per-views that need headliners, and the light heavyweight belt needs to be contested regardless of where Jamal Hill is. Hill can come back in the summer and fight the winner of that fight. So I think we're looking at title shot here for the winner. Oh! Casey just didn't let us know. He just turned to a black screen. Fantastic, Rick.
Yeah, great point. Great point by you. You said that You said that 2 things had already happened that were just and fair and putting us on the right track. I would argue 3, which is, not stripping John Jones and not succumbing to the pressure of giving Tom Aspinall an artificial shot at John Jones. So that would be 3 things that we've seen here in 2024.
Don't
I agree with you,
John, of that paper belt. He needs to have that paper title.
Hard earned. I agree with you that Alex Pereira needs an opponent. Are you interested in the winner of this fight versus Alex Pereira? Is that a compelling matchup?
If it's Johnny Walker, it's super fun. And that's why, if you asked me a month ago, I would have said if Walker wins, he's getting a title shot, because Johnny Walker versus Alex Pereira is fireworks. I would have said it's probably not going to happen for Ankalaev because I think they hate him. But the timeline just really fits so seamlessly here, particularly if Ankalaev can put together a good win. If he can get a finish of Johnny Walker, then it's just never going to be compelling with Magomed Ankalaev in the title conversation. I think he is probably the best light heavyweight in the world, but this guy is not dynamite television for the most part. But I think they're just sort of into this situation where because we've got the Rakic fight happening, but that pushes the timeline for Pereira way too far back. I just don't know what else would happen unless they will do, which I know many people think, and I even recognize is possible, the Izzy Pereira at light heavyweight. I guess that is also possible. It's certainly more compelling than Ankalaev, but I think they still want Izzy DDP in their big picture sort of hierarchy here. And so they will just say, fine, let's let Ankalaev fight for the belt.
I agree with everything you said. This division feels cursed. It feels like it's kind of, as soon as John Jones left, it's kind of just been the ghost of John Jones, like kind of hanging over this division. It should have been, Magomed kind of winning that fight and then not having the Glover versus Jamal Hill. Jamal Hill captures the title. Then he gets injured. The belt floats around. It goes to a middleweight who's coming up and taking and seizing the opportunity. There hasn't really been that guy who just sits there and establishes this division. I do believe if Magomed gets the opportunity, I think he can be that guy and probably will be that guy. And I'm with you. Like, the dude is not super exciting. He's not box office. He's not thrilling. But I do feel like he has a lot of the same kind of feel as early Islam and others, who is just like, yeah, this guy's not exciting. I don't really want to see it. And then they kind of come into their own and they get comfortable and they figure things out. And I think he's super talented. And I do believe if he's able to capture the title, he'll probably be the one to kind of set things straight in that division. But I am interested in Jamal Hill coming back. And I do think light heavyweight seems to have a little bit of momentum, and hopefully can kind of get out of that cursed state.
It's got a little bit of momentum. And really the big thing, like you kind of alluded to it there, I don't think people recognize how much of being a star is just being there for a long time. Like, yes. Anderson Silva, when he won the belt, was as exciting as possible. And no one cared until he had done it for year after year after year. It is hard to have a box office main event at light heavyweight if the belt is changing hands every 6, 8, 12 months. So I think Ankalaev probably is the best bet to maybe bring some stability and sort of have that in the future. But like that is a future sighted thing of being like, hey, we're eating our vegetables now because later this may pay off. But as opposed to going for it, like Izzy Pereira, box office immediate. I very, very, very do not believe that the winner of that fight would be a long-term light heavyweight champion. So that is robbing Peter to pay Paul for your immediate future, which the UFC has been prone to do. But again, that's 2023, boys. That's last year's UFC. This year's UFC is all about meritocracy and doing what's right.
Wow.
Well,
I would love to live in that world. Yeah, I would love to live there.
Yeah, something tells me that if Arman Sarukian won a 49-46 decision against Beneil Dariush, she's probably not getting the Charles Oliveira fight.
Yeah, because that was last year. Last year.
But they booked the Oliveira fight this year based on the result of last year.
Because it's truth and justice this year. If he had done that done that in the summer, then no chance. But since he did it at the end of the year and now it's this year, now truth and justice prevail. Eat your Wheaties, do your push-ups, whatever it is that Hulk Hogan said to the kids back in the day.
Vitamins. Don't forget the vitamins.
Take your vitamins.
Vitamins. Even the extra
Training the prayers
vitamins,
of
like
vitamins.
Kimbo.
Not those.
No. This is sorry. We do not agree with Jed's form here. So Jed, based on how you feel 2024 is laid out, this meritocratic world here, who needs this one more based on the way you view 2024 and the merits-based promotion we're about to see, apparently?
Oh, Magomed Ankalaev probably needs it more because 2024 is not 2025. I am not willing to believe that this year that this meritocratic system will kind of persist beyond this year. And they do not like him. Again, for reasons that remain a bit of a mystery to me. I know he's not exciting, but it's not his fault that Jan Blachowicz and he drew. Like, he overcame a bad start and showed championship grit and mettle and arguably should have won that fight. Even Jan afterwards was like, yeah, probably didn't win that fight or whatever. It's not his fault how the judges did that, but they're not interested in it. He is also personally apparently cursed because if you look at sort of his career and what's happened, a lot of weirdness is around him. The man needs to get to the belt as quickly as possible because the window is not open as long as Johnny Walker's fun and exciting and probably overachieving already in his career. But, you know, even if he goes and gets thumped up by Magomed this weekend, put him back in there, 3 exciting wins over people doing flashy Johnny Walker stuff, and he'll be right back in the mix. So I think Ankalaev, I think he loses a lot more with an L this weekend.
Do you agree with that, New York Rick, that Ankalaev needs this one more than Johnny Walker does?
I do, because it's a bit of my own feel on it, and maybe, you know, I'll be proven to be wrong, is that I don't think Johnny Walker is a championship level fighter. So I think the stakes are a lot lower. I think of him more in the Derek Lewis, throw him into a fight card anywhere and it's going to be fun and people are going to care.
Derek Lewis, who fought for a heavyweight title twice, just so we're clear.
Yes, but you put together that run, you would have to go on that run to get that title, and I don't see Johnny Walker doing it. If he goes on that, if he wins this fight, all bets are off. Let's do it.
If he wins this fight, he's done it. He's getting a title shot.
Yeah, but I ultimately don't think, like, even that, I don't think Derek Lewis is a championship level fighter. To make the point very clear, like, you have to be able to win the championship to be a championship level fighter. Okay. And I don't think Derek Lewis is ever actually going to win a UFC championship. So yeah, I mean, ultimately, like, I think he is somebody who will lose this fight and then be, you know, fighting other guys in the top of the light heavyweight division, which is not very strong, and then not be far away from kind of repeating that process until ultimately maybe he will get that title opportunity. But I don't foresee him holding UFC gold. So whereas with Magomed, I do foresee him holding UFC gold. I think the first opportunity he gets now, he will become the champion.
Well, he's got to beat Johnny Walker, and he is heavily favored to do so. Minus 550. The line on Magomed Ankalaev, the comeback on Johnny Walker, plus 410. Jed, your official pick, and is there betting value on Johnny Walker at plus 410? Because like I said, I feel like Magomed should be a sizable favorite, but minus 550 seems a little, I don't know, a little long here.
Number's a bit large for sure. My official prediction is Magomed Ankalaev is going to get the W here. I have to. For the last 3 years, I have predicted him to be the light heavyweight champion of the UFC. And like everyone is doing with Khamzat Chimaev at this point, one of these years I'm going to be right. It is just a law of numbers. If I keep shooting the same shot, it'll find the target one of these days. So I think he's going to get the W. I don't think he should be this big of a favorite, just because if you go back and rewatch the first fight, Johnny Walker is just enormous. He's the largest man alive. And Magomed Ankalaev is not a small person, but he is small in the cage with Johnny Walker. And Johnny Walker has some success. Sure, Ankalaev, you know, maybe hurts him. Maybe Johnny Walker's playing possum. Still hard to really know. And then is in a dominant position before blatantly doing an illegal thing that should have gotten him DQ'd. But you know, I think this fight can be more competitive than the odds are. I still wouldn't bet on Johnny Walker because I already have a couple of bets in on Magomed Ankalaev. I had one on him by decision at plus 750. That line has plummeted to plus 400, so not really helpful to anyone, but that seemed like value. But I do think this fight probably goes a little longer. Ankalaev is a bit of a decision merchant over the course of his career. And unless, like Rick says, he's settling in the way Islam and Habib sort of did, and now he's about to start putting together big, impressive finishes, which could absolutely be the case and would super help his career. I think this is more likely to kind of last into the championship rounds, into 4 and 5, and maybe he gets a late stoppage or it does go to the cards.
Rick, it seems like you're on picking Ankalaev here. How does he do it? Does this one get done before it goes to the cards, or are we going to the cards here?
Yeah, I think he's going to finish him. I think sounds like Jed got some great value on a decision, and certainly it seems like as the level of competition has increased, he's been more prone to decisions. But I just think he's significantly better than Johnny Walker, and across 5 rounds, he's going to find an opportunity. So I would lean toward a finish. I'm definitely not confident in it, and I definitely don't think there's a lot of value on him at the price that he's currently at. Definitely a dog or pass, but I don't feel comfortable betting dog money on Johnny Walker against somebody who I think is just better than him everywhere.
Look, as much as I want to believe in Jed's meritocratic 2024, I don't think it's true. I think this is, like you said on BTL yesterday, Jed, it's a contract year for the UFC. They want to put the biggest and best fights on possible. Now, could Magomed Ankalaev somehow find his way into one of the biggest and best fights? Sure. But if he has the kind of performance I think he's going to have tomorrow, then I don't think he's going to get it. I think he is going to win a dominant decision tomorrow. I don't know if he finishes Johnny Walker. I'll tell you what, he needs to finish Johnny Walker if he wants to get a title shot. If he goes out there in 50-45s, Johnny Walker, if we see a Thiago Moises type performance, or not Thiago Moises, Thiago, who am I talking about? Did I get that right?
Santos.
Thiago Santos. Golly, I don't know why
Thiago Moises is in no way close to the weight class.
He probably finished Thiago Moises.
I think he's probably getting the dub there.
What a dink. Can't believe
with 50 pounds of weight on him, I think he could find a way to put together a thrilling finish.
So then who gets the shot, Mike, if not the winner of this fight? More
importantly, what is more exciting and enthusiastic than truth, justice, and meritocracy,
Well, thinking
the problem with this campaign is it's going to fall apart in like a week. Like it's not going to take very long for this to fall apart. Like this has no shelf life. This has no legs.
I can spin the hell out of this campaign.
This is going to be done quick.
But
who gets it then, Mike?
I don't know.
Great question.
Look, if Johnny Walker finishes Magomed Ankalaev, I think Alex Pereira would be like, yeah, dude, I'm fighting that guy. Like, I think we're going to go ahead and get that done.
Yeah.
I don't know if it happens like 300, but I think that might be what it is. Here's the deal, though. I think the biggest wild card in all of this, especially is Jamal Hill. And whenever he's ready to come back, like the UFC really wants to put that fight together. And if you're asking me like 5 fights I have to see in 2024, Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill is probably one of the 5 fights I have to see in 2024. So, is it very imperative to get a finish here?
He's out.
Let me just say one more thing,
man.
Yeah, he's going to be out for a bit.
From what I'm hearing, April, May, he's going to be able to get cleared and start training. So we could see him like July or August at this point.
Yeah, but that's my thing.
Alex is sitting.
Then you're sitting Alex until the late summer. No, the answer, Mike, the answer that you should have said is Khalil Roundtree Jr., baby. Let's do it. Let's make that happen. And then the winner of that can fight Jamal Hill.
Alex versus Izzy and Alex versus Hill are the only two to me that feel like pay-per-view headliners, unless anybody disagrees. Those are the only two that feel like they're going to be the top billing on a card. Alex versus Magomed, Alex versus Johnny, all these fights feel like they're going to be like a co-main event fodder. They feel like they're going to be underneath something.
$100 to watch Alex fight Khalil Roundtree Jr.
I think you're speaking for
I may be in a
fans.
minority, but I would pay $100 American dollars to watch that.
That's one of those fights that every hardcore MMA fan is paying premium dollar for, and zero casual fans are paying for. Not a single soul on the planet.
But the casual fans are paying for $300 anyway, so it's fine. You got 3 title fights. You got these 2 dudes just going Donkey Kong on each other. It'd be sick.
It won't be the main event. It won't be the main event.
Come on, we're not no, because we all know Dana's about to announce Leon Bilal is on that fight card, and that's
going to be the main.
that can't be the main,
It
because
will.
meritocracy demands that Leon Edwards not main event fight cards.
He will. He will.
So-
Yeah, I just see Magomed versus Alex happening as the co-main event of some fight, some point. That's basically what I foresee.
I may agree, actually, because you can't do Magomed and Leon Edwards on the same UFC 300. That's just like, that's an anathema to all business. So
a finish is imperative for either guy. It really is. They got to go out there and put the boots away. Like, there is a decision win is not going to get either guy the next title fight. I don't think. Now, if Ankalaev does what we know he's capable of doing, then it's possible. If he goes out there and just pounds him out and beats the shit out of him, then yeah, there's a very good chance they will try to push him into that fight. Of course, Alex Pereira will be by far the A side there. And if he's like, nah, I want to wait for Jamal Hill, then the UFC is just going to be like, okay, then we'll just do that. Or if he wants to fight Izzy, then the UFC will just do that. So he's going to have some say in this matter, but a decision win is just not going to do it. It's not going to do it. And I feel like Ankalaev in that smaller cage, which gives him a huge advantage in this fight, especially against a guy as gigantic and as massive as a Johnny Walker. The smaller cage will be his friend. I think he could use that to his advantage. A lot of clinch work, a lot of takedowns. And I could see him winning a dominant decision, but not one where we come on the post-fight show. We're like, yes, absolutely, got to give Magomed Ankalaev a title shot. I don't know if we're going to get that. So that's where I'm at here.
Yep.
Which would be good for Jed, because Magomed Ankalaev by decision would cash for him.
I mean, I'd be a huge fan of that, but my future bets on Magomed Ankalaev to be champion take a hit.
Well, he could still get a title fight. You know, if Jamal Hill beats Alex Pereira, maybe we get Magomed Ankalaev versus Jamal Hill for the light heavyweight title.
That's going to sell 4 pay-per-views.
Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, light heavyweight is an interesting time, interesting division. It's an interesting time, much like the flyweight division, gentlemen. The division that just never seems to let you down. I mean, once in a while lets us down, but we still get good fights. We found out yesterday Amir Albazi out of the UFC Mexico City main event with Brandon Moreno, and now we get another Brandon Moreno rematch. He will fight Brandon Royval at UFC Mexico City, which is obviously going to be a crazy-ass fight. But we have a flyweight co-main event tomorrow. Manel Kape, who is coming into his own as a UFC fighter. We were all super excited about him when he came over from Ryzen. Couple of setbacks, but now he's just looking like the Manel Kape we thought he would look like when he came into the organization, just finishing guys, having exciting fights. And now he gets to avenge one of his early losses to Matheus Nicolau, at least try. New York Rick, this is a great fight. Manel Kape is sort of a very popular pick for a future champion at 125 pounds if things fall the right way for him. Gets a chance to fight Matheus Nicolau, still a really good fighter. Thoughts on the matchup here? I really like this one.
Love it. I mean, you know, I'm definitely one of those people on the Manel Kape bandwagon. You know, I'm not going to try to hide my bias here. I believe in Manel Kape. I think he will kind of compete for title, if not be champion. Has an exciting style. Some language that I don't love on the microphone, but also kind of exciting on the microphone when he's on his best behavior. Like is very petty, is very mean, is very aggressive, willing to stand up and fight Israel Adesanya over a dispute with Kai Kara France. So I'm a fan of kind of the whole Manel Kape package, other than the one little part that I did mention that he needs to clean that language up a little bit. But I think this is a good opportunity for him to launch himself into the flyweight title picture. And as Jed alluded to, there was a fight between 2 top contenders that seemed like it was inevitable would have the next shot, and now that has not materialized and kind of disappeared overnight, which puts the winner of this fight in a really nice position when it comes to the flyweight championship.
Jed, well, let's see. What does that say? I didn't even see what the other word is. Cop crew, stand up.
That's right.
Go ahead. Have at it.
I mean, this tomorrow is now. I thought that there was a very good chance that with a win, Manel Kape win tomorrow, win on Saturday, that Manel Kape gets to fight for the title next. But there was always the specter of Amir Albazi, Brandon Moreno. I know that Alejandro Pantoja has said that he kind of wanted the winner of that fight, thought that fight made sense. And if that was Amir Albazi, that totally makes sense. If it's Moreno, he's 3-0 over Moreno. I'm not sure we need to go to a fourth so soon, even though fight's competitive and fun and we'd all watch it. So I thought a win by Kape could put him in line to jump Brandon Moreno if Moreno beats Albazi. Albazi's no longer in the conversation because of this injury. I think if Manel Kape wins tomorrow, he's it. He is just the next title contender. Kind of doesn't matter the way he wins. And certainly if he can win emphatically, impressively, excitingly, then I don't think there's a question. I think you absolutely go with Manel Kape over. For the next one, I was honestly really surprised when we did our, year prediction, end of year prediction contest thing or whatever. I thought that I was kind of like cutting some angles, picking Manel Kape to be the flyweight champion at the end of the year. And then somewhat popular. A number of people jumped on board there. I didn't see this coming, but I do think that the path is here. Obviously, he still has to beat Matheus Nicolau, who's already beaten him. He has to beat Alejandro Pantoja, who's already beaten him. But I think he's got a really good shot to do the first one of those this weekend. And if he does, I just don't know how a win doesn't get him a title fight when you look at the current landscape. Are we really going to go to Moreno again? We're definitely not going to do a Royval if Royval beats Moreno. He just lost dominantly to Pantoja. Everything has come up Millhouse from Manel Kape this weekend, and now he just has to go out and execute.
So you think even if Brandon Moreno goes out and just dusts up Royval and looks like a freaking superstar at the same time, because it's got to be in Mexico City, he will look like an absolute massive megastar if he does that. That Kape is just a no-brainer pick, or do you? Because I kind of feel like the UFC might go back to it.
I think the UFC could go back to it, but dude, he's 0-3. Like, come on.
Yeah, but it's fair. It's fair, but every time Brandon Moreno has been in a title fight for the flyweight division, it's been an all-time fight. Like you know what he's a known
the fight will be
commodity.
Fun.
You're gonna get an absolute amazing flyweight title fight. I think that matters to the UFC. I think that matters enough to the UFC. And don't get me wrong, like the last
because
one,
Manel Kape historically is not super fun as well.
No. Hey, I told you, I'm in the Kape crew. I'm tapping the sign behind you too. I'm in the Kape crew. But
stand up.
Brandon Moreno has been in main events, flyweight title fights over and over and over, and always delivered in a division that needed that, in a division that was going to go away. But him and Davis and Figueiredo, their kind of drama, and now this Moreno Pantoja drama have kept this thing alive. He to me feels like somebody who, if he gets that win in Mexico and the crowd is chanting his name and he's being carried out on people's shoulders, and Kape has an okay performance, I think it's going to go to Moreno. So I'm sorry, it's going to go to Moreno. I think Moreno is still in the driver's seat. I think if he gets an impressive win over Royval, he's still going to be the one who ultimately is first in line there. But if the style points matter and Kape has a better performance than Moreno, and Moreno for some reason struggles with Royval, I think the door is wide open. I think there's an opportunity for it to happen, but I do think it's Moreno's to lose. He's just such a bankable known commodity for them.
What about this aspect to it though, Rick? I think everyone anticipates that Pantoja's next fight will be at the rumored Brazil event, that they're going to have one in the first or second quarter there. Moreno getting that done, sure. In Mexico City, that's obviously big. The timeline may be a little tight depending on when that Brazil card actually happens, versus Brandon Moreno gets a win in Mexico City. UFC Noche is right there in September. I'm not sure why Brandon Moreno couldn't just have dibs on the winner of a Kape Pantoja fight that takes place in Brazil in, May or whatever timeline that event ends up happening.
I buy it. It's certainly possible. I buy it. I think all depends on.
You have to put Brandon Moreno at UFC Noche. Like, if you're doing this, if you're having him fight for the belt, it needs to happen at Noche. And so you shouldn't shelve Pantoja until September, because I think we can have our cake and eat it too, Rick. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I think Moreno could fight 3 times, by the way. Like, I think it's very possible he could win, his next fight in Mexico, win another fight or fight for the title again, and then potentially defend in September if that need be. But you are setting up a nicer scenario where the title shot is essentially guaranteed if he's able to win here in Mexico. So I buy that timeline completely. I do think this is where it's going to come down to the performances. I think they're going to have two really, really good options potentially and have to kind of align those pieces. But I'm completely open to the possibility that you've just laid out for sure.
Yeah. And remember what happened last time? Remember what happened last time?
I love my timeline. I think it's perfect.
What happened last time Brandon Moreno fought Brandon Royval? He fought for the belt 3 weeks later.
Yeah.
Turned right around, made the weight, had one of the greatest fights in flyweight history with Davis and Figueiredo. It could happen.
This is where the politics come into play. This is where Moreno being 0-3 against Pantoja comes into play, right? You take this opportunity when it comes, or you're getting skipped. You're 0-3 against the guy. You have to take it when it comes, and that's where the UFC will have the leverage and the pressure to be able to make this happen on the time frame that they want. Because Manel Kape might be there saying, "Hey, I'm ready. I'll fight whenever too. So just call my name." So these two options are amazing, fantastic options,
dude.
For a
here's the
fight.
part that I don't think you have given enough credence to. Right? Think about this. Would you rather have Brandon Moreno's sweet, beautiful soul Brandon Moreno going into Brazil to be the villain opposed to Pantoja, or do you want Manel Kape to go into Brazil and be the bad guy? Because I know which one of these scenarios I want, my friends, and it's not Lego Man. Lego Man's in Noche at the end of the year with whoever is holding the belt. Let Manel Kape go to Brazil. Come on.
I don't think you've considered this. Would we get Manel Kape back if that happened?
Probably
Would
not.
Manel Kape be coming home? Hey? Would we still have him anymore?
How about this scenario?
Think about the heat in that arena.
There would be a lot of heat there. There would be a lot of heat. But what about this scenario, Jed? You want to have your cake and eat it too? I'm going to lay out a little perfect thing for you. Let's just say Brandon Moreno goes out there and just knocks out Brandon Royval in the first round, gets his title shot, looks like a superstar. And Manel Kape's all pissed off, like, "Oh, UFC, you got to do something for me to make me happy." What if these rumors are true? What if these rumors that we're hearing from the Japanese media is true? And we get Manel Kape, Kyoji Horiguchi 2 in a #1 contender fight? Because Manel Kape has already fought Horiguchi and was finished by him in 2017. I ain't complaining about that idea. You could even do that at 300 if we can get Horiguchi over there. You're complaining about that?
Yeah, Horiguchi runs him just like he did the last time. I like Manel Kape. Manel Kape's a really, really good fighter. Kyoji is special and pretty bad stylistically. The fight's great, but like we're in a situation where it's not like we have a multitude of dudes fighting for the belt. We've had the same like 3 guys scrap for it over the past 2.5 years or whatever. I want to get as many title shots in as I want to do this like it's UFC 5. I want Manel Kape to get a shot at the belt. I want Kai Kara France to get a shot. Like I want all these dudes to do it, and Kyoji will just take that from him. Kyoji will just beat him. So I want Manel Kape in Brazil. If Kyoji does come back, man, that's going to make things so spicy though. Good God. Flyweight's about to be fun as hell, and it's already pretty good.
Yeah. Kyoji being added to that makes it super fun. So there's a lot at stake here. Feels like Matheus Nicolau being completely overlooked, and he was overlooked.
He should not be.
Too.
I was about to say, all of our great plans heavily reliant on Matheus Nicolau falling over this weekend.
Yeah. It could be a y'all must have forgot performance from Matheus Nicolau. Jim Miller on his road to UFC 300, taking on Gabriel Benitez, Ricky Simon, Mario Batista. Very interesting fight. I think we're going to get some questions answered about Mario Batista in that fight, which I'm kind of looking forward to. And then Phil Haas, Bruno Ferreira is just a perfect opener for this main card, because I don't think that fight's getting past 7.5 minutes. So before we move on to the peeps, New York Rick, I'll begin with you. What's the low-key banger of this card? Seems like a lot of the attention is on the main and the co-main event, but if you look up and down this main card, pretty good. And then there's some prelims that are really good as well. What's the low-key banger in your eyes?
It's probably just my feelings about the fights, but I really always like Semmelsberger. I feel like it's always crazy when he gets in the cage, so I'm looking forward to his fight with Preston Parsons. Like the dude, like you just don't know what you're getting out of a Semmelsberger fight. He knocks a guy down 5 times, or he's getting not like it's just crazy. I'm interested in the chaos of that fight. But I think there's really no bad answers on this card. As we've kind of outlined, there's intrigue in like most of these. There's some fun matchmaking going on here. But that's the one that I'm just like, yeah, Matt Semmelsberger is fighting. I'm in. Like, I want to see the craziness.
Jed, I think I know where you're going with this. Where are we going?
So there's one good answer. I will say that there's one right answer. Semmelsberger Parsons is a good answer, except for I will disagree with Rick. You know exactly what you're getting. He's going to drop Preston Parsons like probably multiple times, but then he's not going to finish them and he's going to gas out. And Preston Parsons is going to start wrestling him, and that fight's going to get way closer than it should be because that's just the Matthew Semmelsberger way.
Yes,
It's
yes, it is.
It's going to be fun anarchy. Listen to Noet's Bard as we sort of lament our inability to really figure out who Matthew Semmelsberger is as a fighter. The correct answer is Farid Basharat, Taylor Lapilus. That fight is saucy. That fight's so good. Farid Basharat's undefeated. I don't think he's as good of a fighter as his brother, but he's kind of a better one than his brother. I sort of likened to him, the Basharat brothers to the Pettis brothers. And like Anthony Pettis is the better fighter than Sergio Pettis. Like he is the more accomplished fighter, the fighter who stands out more. But I think Sergio Pettis is actually like a better all around fighter than Anthony. He just doesn't have the same like athleticism and sort of gifts. And so he has to get by with a lot more skill and technique and sort of tactical awareness. And Anthony is just like, YOLO, I'm a cage kick a dude. And he can. It's awesome. I think that that's really the case with Farid Basharat here. He is the Sergio Pettis in this situation of he's an incredibly smart fighter. His fight IQ is off the charts. His tactical awareness is great. Not a terrific athlete. And he's now about to start hitting that glut of bantamweight where that's going to be a big limiting factor as he continues to rise up. And Taylor Lapilus has shown some weaknesses, but on a terrific run right now. And these two dudes just match up in a really, really exciting way. I am very, very enthused about this fight.
It's got to be fun. Landscapers are right outside. It's unbelievable. Quick update, by the way, before we go to the peeps. One fighter left to weigh in with about 16 minutes to go, and it is Manel Kape. No, it's Manel Kape.
Yeah.
Manel Kape, the last fighter to weigh in. Of course, our weigh-in expert, Alexander K. Lee, is all over this, and he will keep us posted. Maybe we'll bring him in. If
that'd be fun.
If Kape misses weight, I reserve the right to change everything we talked about for the last 15 minutes,
including your sign. You'll just erase it off the whiteboard.
Kape Cruz sit down is what that sign will read. Kape Cruz sit down.
Jed and Mike, question for you: who's more likely to look like an explosive, powerful world beater for 4 minutes before gassing out and losing, Phil Hawes or Matthew Semmelsberger?
Semmelsberger for sure. Because I think that there's a chance Phil Hawes is like, what if I just tackle this dude? I don't think he'll do it for the whole fight. But like at some point, he just be like, I could just sit on him and that might be smarter. And then eventually he'll stand up and they'll punch each other. But Semmelsberger is definitely going to look like a world beater for 4 minutes. That's just his way.
Oh, yeah, definitely. According to my best friend, Alexander Kaylee, Manel Kape, he thinks he's about to step up to the scale, so things are about to get a little spicy here. Oh, this is something.
If he's stepping up now, that means he's probably on weight, right?
No, that means minutes. He's trying to get that extra hour or whatever it is.
Could be. So we will keep you posted. But in the meantime, Casey, come on in, and let's take some questions from the peeps for the first time here on the preview shows.
Can I also say shout out to this fight card? It has 2 of my prospects to watch off the most recent season of Contender Series, including my number 1 prospect, Tom Nolan. That dude's gonna be awesome.
Who's number 2? What are the 2?
Gene Silva is the other one.
Okay, cool.
Gene Silva's the biggest betting favorite on the card. He's like featherweight Michel Pereira, which is pretty sick. So that's why he's cool. And Tom Nolan, I just like. The best way I can explain him if you didn't watch Contender Series, one, he's 6'3" and a lightweight. So he's Jalen Turner and Dan Hooker, and he's got to figure out defense and like a lot of stuff, but he's nasty, nasty man, and he's got a superpower. So he's going to kill Nicholas Mota.
I love that.
And you got Josh Van, the fight right before that, kicking off the card too.
Really, it's easy to hate on some of these Apex cards. Sometimes they do it right, and this is an example of what they can do. They've done it right.
Yeah, this is exactly how
There's
Apex cards should be, especially at the bottom. Like, kind of, I don't want to say squash matches, but
The
matches
first
we're
four
expecting
fights
highlights. We're expecting highlights.
Yeah. The first 4 fights are all like legitimate prospects.
Yeah, and that's what these cards are for. I like it. Quick,
No Manel Kape, by the way. No Manel Kape, by the way. No, nothing yet. Not
We got 14 minutes, baby.
Yeah, 14 minutes.
He's going
to
to weigh
go.
123 to make a point.
Oh yes, I love it.
Cop crew. Hey, I was on the cop crew way before you guys. I'm just
You,
gonna say I was.
we are among the immediate
Yeah,
leaders in the cop crew clubhouse.
Yeah,
Manel Kape was on the first episode of What the Heck. That's how much we were. The very first show out of the gates, first show with MMA fighting. Manel Kape just signed with the UFC, and he was on the very first show.
I legitimately think Casey had Manel Kape ranked like in the top 8, like the first month we did rankings.
Oh yeah,
It's just he just had him. He had him so high to the top. I was like, "Yep, this is it." It's like, okay.
And I will say, like, okay, when he lost to Pantoja in the UFC, that was a legit loss. But he beat Nicolau. He beat. I'm looking at
He beat Nicolau for sure.
That was like one of the I think we had 30 media members all picked Kape. Not one media member had Nicolau. It was a competitive fight.
No doubt.
Yeah, he for sure beat him.
It was a close fight, though. It was not. It was
competitive, but a clear winner.
Competitive fight.
Yeah,
he should have won.
Yeah.
It was a competitive fight.
Yeah. Before we go to questions, Jed, is Ankalaev, is he the 205 leafy green?
Oh, probably. He probably is. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he's just your vegetables, you know? Like, he's good for you, but you're not excited about him. Which is untrue. I love vegetables, but for the sake of this analogy, it works.
Okay. I was kind of wondering, like, why doesn't he, maybe he does, but why doesn't he get the same hate?
Look at the rest of the 205 rankings, and who else could it possibly be?
Jan?
No, because Jan for his entire career was, but then he expertly rebranded with the semi-fictitious legendary Polish power, and that was enough. He had a gimmick.
It's not actually real, though.
No, the gimmick was kind of a lie, but it's a gimmick that worked and got over, so it's fine.
Well, fair enough.
Like, if Ankalaev had a gimmick, if Ankalaev had a hat, if he just had a papapka or like a funny hat, he could maybe get over.
That's what we're missing. That's what we're missing. Yeah, you're right.
Instead, he has no gimmick. He's just like very good and slightly cursed and doesn't talk shit or anything. So he's missing it. He's one step away. He's one gimmick away from getting over.
All right.
Because like, I love Khabib. Khabib's one of my favorite fighters of all time. And I was on the bandwagon almost immediately. A lot of Khabib's early fights were not the most exciting things to watch, but he chatted some shit and he had a fun hat. And that was enough to get him over.
Yeah. And Islam did none of those things, and he still got over eventually. I feel like Magomed's on that path.
Islam got over because his relation to Khabib.
Yeah, Khabib.
Like, he just kind of co-opted him in. Magomed doesn't have that, so he's got to find a way. And then, yes.
Yeah. And Khabib cut the promo to get him the Volkanovski fight. So there you go.
All right.
Khabib should just be a mouthpiece. Like, I know that he's done with MMA, but he would be terrific. Like, don't be Islam's good on his own. You just got to give Khabib to Umar. Like, Khabib needs to be Umar's mouthpiece to get Umar over the hump here.
Agreed.
10-minute warning from Manel Kape, by the way. 10-minute warning.
Oh, wow.
Lazy bed. Is this the last time we see two guys with as much UFC experience as Arlovsky and Miller on a card together for some time?
Yes, this is the easiest answer I've ever heard in my life. Like, you know how I know this is easy? Because they're 1 and 2 in the most fights in UFC history. So unless the two of them are on the same card later this year, yes.
Yeah.
That's it.
I don't think the longevity that these two have had is common enough that we will see like pairs like this. Like, I'd be shocked if we get anybody in a long time who's going to even come close to what Jim Miller is doing here. Like, it is insane.
Clay Guida is 6 fights back of him. He will be 7 fights back of him after Jim Miller fights this weekend. I do not believe Clay Guida is getting 7 more fights in the UFC. RDA is going to be 9 fights back. Very unlikely he will fight 9 more times. Like there's no one's going. Jim Miller has a legitimate shot to set a record that will never be broken.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be very tough.
Will his record? What is his record? What is the number right now?
His
Jim Miller?
42 is Jim Miller. He will be 43 and then 44 if he fights at UFC 300.
44.
Also, I'd take nothing away from Jim Miller here because that's unbelievable. The fact that Andrei Arlovski at heavyweight has 40 and it's about to be 41, I legitimately believe that to be unbreakable. I do not believe anyone will come close to beating Andrei Arlovski's heavyweight fights record in the UFC.
What's almost more impressive about Andrei Arlovski's is how many eras it spans, and also he was pronounced for dead post UFC. He was like,
times.
"This guy's done. This guy's done, done," and then every time he's done, and now he's still going. It's pretty crazy.
I remember
3 different times he had 4-fight losing streaks that we thought were the end of his career, and he came back.
I remember media members when the UFC re-signed Arlovski, the whatever the last time I think, and they were just like offended that Dana could do this. They're like how would you like? They were just like aghast. Like that is just like a crime against humanity to bring Arlovski back. This is after like the fort. What was it? Oh no!
Holy
wait, breaking news!
Shitballs! Yeah.
I saw. Hold on.
Did he miss by a lot?
Wow.
Oh, we got to redo the whole show, guys.
Oh no! What happened?
According to our weigh-in expert Alexander K. Lee, and I just want to make sure this is true. I want to make sure it's confirmed on social media. But 129 and a half from Manel Kape.
No.
That's
Yep, and there it is. 3.5 pounds.
Ah!
Jeez.
I would say that Brandon Moreno now has the inside track to a title fight.
Yeah.
Ah!
That's
a shame.
Sheesh, man.
That's like half a pound. Maybe we can kind of go, all right, but man, 3.5 at two.
He ain't getting that extra hour. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah.
Now, if you're
flyweight, that's a lot. Oh boy.
If you are Matheus Nicolau right now, Jed Meshew, and we're living in a meritocratic world. Now, look, it's 2024.
I said it's going to take a week to fail. It took 20 minutes.
What happened?
What are you talking about?
What happened to Wonderboy Thompson? That was 2023. This is a new year. Yeah. It's a new UFC, right? If you're Matheus Nicolau, do you take this fight? Or do you say, no, I'm not fighting you, dude. I'm not giving you this opportunity. Forget it. I made weight like a pro. I'm not doing it. What do you think?
I would take the fight, but I don't know if he will or not. And I won't begrudge him to not do it. And you know what? You're right. In 2023, the UFC might have been upset about that. And they might have been angry at Matheus Nicolau. And they might have tried to burn him like they did Wonderboy. This year, they're going to be like, you know what? Bad on Manel Kape for missing weight. Matheus, we're gonna get you a fight. We're gonna figure it out. Don't you worry. We'll get you one as soon as we can. And Manel Kape, you're in the doghouse because this is a just, honest, and dignified sport we're in this year, and that's what's gonna happen. And I'm okay with it. It's unfortunate for my Manel Kape future bet, but that is the just answer is Manel Kape will not be getting a title fight next after this weekend as a result.
And by the way, neither will Matheus Nicolau, even if he wins.
He was never going to get one if he wins.
Yeah, so the meritocracy just died on the vine like immediately.
What are you talking about?
This is over.
No, that is meritocratic. He doesn't deserve it. He missed weight. So this is absolutely meritocratic.
No, Nicolau.
No, but he never deserved it if he won anyway. He just got lit up.
He just lost to Royval. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, he never was going to get one even with a win, but a win puts him one away, which I still think if he beats Manel Kape, if he accepts his fight and beats him, yeah, probably he's still one away. Like, all right, fight.
Man, I hope he takes the fight. I hope he takes the fight.
I don't think he should take the fight. At 3.5 pounds at flyweight, that's like
plus,
10 pounds.
Plus I beat you. Plus, I beat you already. It's on my record. I don't have to. It doesn't make
Plus,
me
if
look
he
honestly,
doesn't take the fight, they're definitely going to make Horiguchi fight Manel Kape.
Oh yeah.
They will definitely
It's
do it.
happening now.
Manel, here's Horiguchi for you, bro. Enjoy.
Yeah, but Nicolau is probably going to get a tough out next time too. He's probably going to
They're all
suffer
tough
some
outs
ill
when you're
effect.
but they're all tough outs when you're trying to fight for the title, you know. Nicolau, they're not going to punish him. I'm telling you. It's a meritocratic club 2024.
He's gonna get his win
I
and
believe
show.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he gets win his show. Yeah,
In the
he'll.
main
Look,
event.
look.
Cop's
I
gonna-
said nothing about win and show. Okay, this is.
Cop's going to apologize. Cop's going to write a nice
There's a
little
difference
letter. I'm
between
sorry to my
meritocracy
opponent.
and fantasy land. All right, we're not living in fantasy land.
Dana's taking his free Venom gear back from Nicolau right now. No, you don't get those either.
Is a bit much.
Ugh, this stinks.
Man.
This
This
stinks.
sucks, dude. This sucks.
I'm
So
bummed,
bad.
man. I'm so.
Yeah.
Such a big weight miss. Come on. That's crazy.
Gosh,
Is that his
dang it.
second in the UFC?
That's the second.
Yeah.
Say again, but this
Yeah.
one's kind of ridiculous. This is a big one. Hoping he's injured. And that's like I don't know. I guess it all depends on Nicolau's his bank account. Honestly, if he's broke right now and sharing an apartment with roommates, then I'm sure he's taking the fight. If he's doing okay, then yeah, don't take the fight.
Take the fight anyway. It's 3 pounds. You'll be fine.
Yeah, but it's the risk reward. Like this is a tough
3 pounds
fight.
3 pounds at flyweight that's significant. That is very significant.
A lot of things are significant. Manel Kape's significant. If I walk into a dude and I'm going to fight him in a bar, and I'm like, actually, you outweigh me
This
by 5
ain't a
pounds, I
bar
think
fight,
good.
man. You
I don't
stab
care.
a broken bottle on a guy's
care.
eyeball. That's what you do in
the
a
way
bar
to
fight.
approach
This ain't a bar
It's the
fight.
way to approach
Wow,
this.
Casey's
way
going
to
straight for
approach this.
murder immediately.
Yeah.
Oh, we're
You're
talking bar
acting as if
fights.
this
Yeah.
is a real sport. I'm trying to make it a real sport, Casey. I'm trying to make it a meritocracy. This is a carnival sideshow that we've all devoted our lives to. This is not an athletic contest. It's a fist fight, and you just fist fight him. It'll be fine. You'll beat him. Believe in yourself. If 3 pounds makes you not believe in yourself, did you ever believe in yourself in the first place? That's all I'm asking.
If it was 3 pounds, maybe, but this is 3.5 pounds. That other half.
Oh,
pound,
that extra half pound is
That's like
that's-
6 pounds.
a half pound is the differentiator between self-belief and not.
There's got to be a
Come on,
breaking
it's
point.
fine.
Yeah, it's three,
Yeah.
3.5. There's got to be a
30,
line.
30 is the breaking point.
30.
If you weighed
The commission's just like-
160,
The commission's just like, yeah, whatever. Cool.
They'll move,
Yeah.
move the event to
160.
Florida. They'll
that's the
sanction it.
breaking point.
How many
I don't
Manel
know.
Kape-
If you listen to Anthony Smith, Jim Miller can beat Brock Lesnar. So weight's really all a fabrication anyway. And that's a
Like
professional
Kimura, I mean,
fighter
it's
talking.
coming.
That's not me. It's a professional fighter. He obviously knows what he's talking about.
So if you're just joining
We've
us,
gone off the rails.
if you're just joining us, we are reacting to Manel Kape missing weight by 3.5 pounds for the co-main event matchup with Matheus Nicolau. No word on whether the fight
Oh, no.
Gotta change it.
will go forward, if there's going to be penalties, if there's going to be fines. I'll tell you what, if Nicolau's going to take this fight, he better ask 20% ain't going to cut the mustard.
Oh, you got to get way more than 20. You got to get us like at least
30,
50.
35.
Get that 30.
Go
yeah,
50.
at least 30.
30 there.
Cop crew, sit down, man.
Tough.
Just like
Tough
that.
for us.
It's too bad too. I was talking to Eric Nixick in an interview that's going to drop probably in like the next day or two, and I asked him like which fighter should we have our eye on this year, and he was like, "I'm telling you, man, Manel Kape is like on a whole other level right now."
I was
We
going
all
to mention that too,
agreed,
but we haven't
Eric.
released the interview yet. Yeah, but yeah, I watched the interview yesterday too, and I saw that like he was very high on Kape in the interview. But dang it.
Yeah, crazy.
All right, what else is there to talk about? Jeez.
Oh, on the Andre, I did have one thing on Arlovsky that I was going to say before we got sidetracked. He predates Dana in the UFC. It's
Yeah.
never like we just generally don't give enough love to this man. It's an unbelievable career. If he
Yeah,
ever
so to
retires,
answer-
he's getting a damn instantaneously.
There
I don't
might not
care
be a
if it's
single
important for
employee at the UFC right now. Not a single employee at the UFC that was working for UFC or not even. What was it before Zuffa? What was the company called?
SMG or
yeah,
SEG,
something. SEG or something.
SEG, yeah.
SEG.
Yeah, he was SEG era UFC. I don't think there can't be one person on that payroll that's still there.
Yeah, SEG.
2000 is his UFC debut. 24 years.
both
at
of
heavyweight,
these
it will never be
both
equal,
of these kind
ever.
of Iron Man runs are one of one. They're not even the same. They're also so distinct. They're one of one for each of these guys. I don't think anybody will be able to touch that.
You could convince me someone gets to Jim Miller whenever he ends up. If he ends with 50, you could convince me somehow, some way, even though I think it's unlikely. There's never going to be a dude who puts up 43 heavyweight fights. It just seems impossible.
What I think is going to be so hard to be a Jim Miller is you have to really be able to last. You have to last in the UFC without being too good, which is very difficult. Like you can't be that. You can't be in the UFC that long without being too good to fight for a title and really like cement yourself as a champion and make all that money that they wouldn't want to hold on to anymore. And you can't be so bad that you're gone. Like there really is no middle class in the UFC anymore. There's the upper tier ranked top guys, and then there's the contender series, fresh signees. They cut out the middle class to create this system where they only pay for really like lower level fighters and the least money that they can possibly pay, and the top tier fighters that they have to pay so that they can keep the product going. Jim Miller is a remnant of that middle class that does not exist anymore. And so I just don't see even business wise a way that could happen.
I absolutely 100% agree. The Miller situations, the crazy part too, but 44 fights or whatever, not one title shot.
Yeah, you have to be really freaking good, but not good enough.
Not too good, but can't be bad.
He's won one away a couple of times. Just think about it, though.
Yeah, always won. Yeah, one away.
Fight. If he fought 3 times a year, which is a lot, 3 times a year is not common. If he fought 3 times a year, it's 14 years of doing that. That's unreal. That's just. If he fought 4 times a year, which is like not feasibly possible, it's still a shit lot. It's still over a decade of doing that. It's just, I mean, these really are one of ones here. So no, the answer to this question is that unless these 2 gentlemen fight on the same card later, it's never going to happen.
Yeah, I just don't see neither of these records ever being broken.
And by the way,
the business model right now they have. The
sneaky other part of this is they're both still good enough to kind of keep doing it. They're both like good enough to be on these cards and continue to extend it.
Andre is probably not, but God love him. I hope he fights forever.
Nah, he's fine. I mean, he's on a 2-fight losing streak. That's nothing, especially at heavyweight.
And to him, he's been on 4-fight losing streaks.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
This is just where he starts getting going.
And I might as well put this up because it's a little topical now. Just another
thoughts on Jim Miller making weight for his record 43rd fight, never missed weight in the UFC. Good on him.
Yes.
By the way, Manel Kape is not reweighing as we expected.
Shocking.
And I'm assuming we don't know if the fight is actually official yet. There hasn't been. Oh, is it official? Oh, we don't know yet.
It's not official yet.
Okay, yeah. Sorry.
We just know he's not weighing in again.
Let's talk more about Jim Miller.
I'm sorry. I have to. Do you guys know that Max Holloway has 26 fights in the UFC? It feels like he's been there for a lifetime and fighting all the time, and he only has 26 of them. No one is ever touching Jim Miller.
The problem with Max,
he's too good.
The problem with Max is he's too good. You start to become a champion, then you don't get as many fights as Jim Miller got.
Just nuts.
Everybody has to make sense. Everybody has to be in the right city. Everybody has to be the right paper.
You have to be Cowboy. You have to be Jim Miller. You have to be these guys who are really, really, really freaking good, but just not the top tier and exciting and putting on these fights that people wanted to see.
I can't believe there are people who think Jim Miller's not a Hall of Famer.
Of course he's a Hall of Famer. Does Jim Miller
bozos?
Okay, but is he
like Cal Ripken?
Is he an independent Hall of Famer or is he a UFC Hall of Famer?
Oh,
you mean like Hall of Famer?
UFC Hall of Famer. Yeah, UFC Hall of Famer. Not if there was an MMA Hall of Fame. No,
if there was an MMA Hall of Fame, I don't think he gets in.
No,
it wouldn't be a first ballot. He probably gets there at some point, but there isn't. There's the UFC Hall of Fame, and he's a Hall of Famer.
That's I mean, you'd have to be out of your mind to think he's not.
He's a first ballot UFC Hall of Famer to me, and I know that's like a debate, but that's insane.
Is he a damn they were good?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
The day Jim Miller 1,000% gets it, particularly because his late career run is Chris Lytle-esque, where he's just gotten way more fun. Like during his peak years, he wasn't the most fun fighter. He's gotten a lot more fun in his later years.
By the way, the dude got Lyme disease in the middle of this streak. Like the dude had Lyme disease and overcame it. Like I can't properly describe how crazy what this man did is. Like it's pretty insane, and it floats under the radar because it's become so common that he's just like, yeah, I'm gonna fight, 3 months, but 3 months between fights every time. I'm gonna fight at 300, but he is kind of like a superhero. Like it's actually like a next level kind of thing.
Here's my question: I think we all agree he's gonna fight at 300. He's probably not going to hang around till 400 because that's a long time. But
no,
if you're Jim Miller, do you at least stay in like decent enough shape after you retire? And then when 400 comes around, you hit the gym, you test the waters, you see, and then you make a phone call. Hey guys, give me some random body at 400 and let's make this happen, because I desperately want this to happen.
Raul Rosas Jr. versus Jim Miller, UFC 400.
Hell,
start booking it now. It's happening.
Well, at this point, it might be Manel Kape versus Jim Miller if this trend continues. I mean, Jesus.
If that actually happened,
screw it.
I'm going to submit this tape.
Do Arlovsky. If Jim Miller could beat Brock Lesnar, he could damn sure beat Andre, and just do it. That would be insane.
I wish UFC was more fun.
Shout out Jim Miller. Jim Miller's the freaking man.
I think Jim Miller would be the first 2-part damn they were good in history. Kevin Holland is 16 UFC fights, 3.5 years. Yeah, dude.
He
does. He has to do that 3 more times.
Yeah.
That's what he has to do. He has to do that 3 more times. Or sorry, twice more. Sorry.
Yeah.
Twice more times. Yeah.
But still.
His paycheck is increasing too rapidly. The first 10 of those, it was viable. The last 6, the paycheck is increasing too rapidly.
The paycheck is a great argument in favor of Arlovsky too, because he's a former heavyweight champion getting that heavyweight paycheck, and they're still running him out to fight Waldo Cortez Acosta this weekend. That can't be a good business decision.
Probably not. No,
they are definitely not making money in that transaction.
Yeah, he's probably bucking the trend for sure.
Do we get a call out from Miller this weekend with a win? Is Jim Miller gonna throw a name out there?
Why? What's the point? He doesn't need to.
No, there is a point. There's exactly a point.
Tell me.
Because here's who is doing the commentary this weekend? Because I didn't look at it. But if Paul Felder is in the cage doing the interview with him, Jim says, "Hey, Jim, we're excited. Like, are you still trying to turn around?" "I am." And Paul, "I hear you've been thinking about coming back. What if you and I just scrap it up at 300, buddy?" Boom. Done.
I wonder.
I stand corrected. That's the correct answer. I stand corrected.
I wonder if Jim doesn't do the call out, but Paul does it.
Or maybe Paul. Either way, that should happen.
And they have a gentleman's agreement. They shake hands, maybe a hug, maybe a little hug ski to put it all to bed.
I think Paul is too seasoned a broadcaster at this point to try that. I think he's kind of like settled into being more broadcaster than fighter.
Yeah,
yes, if they've agreed,
unless
maybe,
in the fighter meetings they've nudged each other. UFC, I know you're listening because obviously, why wouldn't you? We're great content. Somebody talk to somebody and make this happen, because that's dynamite right there. That's just gold. I gave you gold for free.
But by the way, like, great fight, love it, but I don't give a shit who Jim Miller fights at UFC 300.
Doesn't matter.
Whoever he fights, that's great. Fantastic.
Do you like prospect or vet?
Whatever
I would prefer
whatever's
vet
available.
for 300, but I don't care.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I wanted Dustin Poirier. Obviously, that's not happening. But
wow, that's
dude. The last time they fought, it was sick. I know, think it would be sick.
Like, Dustin's fighting like top guys. There's just no.
Well, I know, but I thought Dustin would way rather fight Jim Miller than Benoit Saint-Denis. I was wrong, obviously, but like, fuck, I'd rather fight Jim Miller than Benoit Saint-Denis. So,
touche.
All right, gentlemen, we've gone hour 10. I think we keep going, or are we good? I know
we have good questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't. I mean, we've only answered like 2 of them. because we've been reacting Manel Kape for like 35 minutes now. So.
I would love to know if by the end of this Manel is fighting and Nicolau is fighting, but
I think
Nicolau knows when that will happen.
I'm telling you, I mean, look, it's all going to come down to the negotiations. If I'm Nicolau, I'm asking for the world, and if Manel really wants it, then he should give it to him. Go for that. Go for 50, dude. You should be asking for 50. He ain't gonna get it, but you should be asking. Start there and get something close.
What we got? Sorry. I lost it. Dang, where'd it go? Okay. Just because I don't know very much about
this gentleman. It's a tough day for all of us. I get it.
Yeah.
It is.
I mean, the crew is now sitting down, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Is Lapalus being massively overlooked?
Nope.
Yeah, I've got a bet on him. I think he's good value. I think he has a very real chance to beat Basharat. If Basharat can get takedowns, Lapalus will lose. I am not convinced that he can do that consistently. That's why I think it's a great fight, both from we're going to learn something about both dudes. The matchup is great, kind of where they're at in there. I think it's just really, really strong matchmaking, a very good fight.
Yeah.
I also am willing to acknowledge that I may be too high on Lapalus because him fighting in Paris was scenes. And it's hard not to be believe that man can do anything when that Paris crowd, which was so live, was behind everything he did in his last fight.
Yeah. That's a great point.
Go back and rewatch it and just man, that UFC Paris card was, that crowd was insane.
Yeah, dude. People hated Colin anyways, so Lapalus looked like a freaking hero anyways. So
energy through the roof.
Back to the main event.
No matter the outcome, Ankalaev ain't getting the title shot. UFC will skip him for Yuri versus Rakic winner. I don't know,
Don't
man.
agree with that.
So it looks like, according to weigh-in expert Alexander Kape, they're about to do the face-offs. They're about to do some face-offs, so maybe we'll get some info on whether or not Kape Nicolau moves forward when they square him off.
My issue, Omar, with your comment here is that Yuri and Rakic are fighting at 300, which is forever away. And so that would mean, if you were correct, which I won't say you're all the way incorrect, means Alex Pereira isn't fighting until June at the earliest. And
they'll wait for Jamal Hill at that point.
Yeah, at that point, they would wait for Jamal Hill. I just don't think that that's likely. I think Alex Pereira is fighting at 301 at the latest.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem feasible. They're not in any rush. Neither of these guys is somebody they need to have in a title fight. Yuri was and got it and lost. And I don't think they're super high on Rakic.
And look, if you wanted to make the argument that Ankalaev will fight a winner of Yuri Rakic for the next shot and they just wait on Jamal Hill, I think that's a much better argument than Yuri and Rakic getting a title shot.
Yep. That's probably the answer. Look, Rakic is a very good fighter. But he's had some.
He's a bit leafy greens fights, too.
Yeah, he's had some leafy greeny type performances himself. So
I'm a huge fan of this as a way to describe fighters now. It's dismissive, but not quite, so it's okay. It's awesome.
All right, we'll go. I guess we'll go a few more minutes, and maybe we'll see if AK will give us an update of some kind.
All right.
I don't know if that's true, Omar. If Ankalaev just goes out and just absolutely runs over Johnny Walker in devastating fashion, I think that changes things a little bit.
I think we're a bit confused about what the UFC's motivation here is. You have to remember that there has to be a reason why they're trying to shove these guys into a title shot. Yuri and Rakic are just not those guys. Unfortunately, that's just not. It doesn't make sense business wise.
Let me ask you guys a question based on this Manel Kape thing. In case you could answer this as well, who is in worse shape right now in this discussion? Amir Albazi or Manel Kape?
Amir Albazi.
Albazi still. Albazi hasn't. Yeah, go on.
Inactivity is the worst thing you can do. In the UFC's eyes, even if you miss weight, you can be redeemed. And especially if it's somebody like Kape who puts on exciting performances and they kind of want to probably fight for the title. Whereas Albazi's coming up off a controversial fight where a lot of people thought he didn't really win. That's not the best situation to be in.
I'm going to zig and just say that Kape's in a worse spot because blowing weight this bad is going to probably lead to repercussions. And
I wonder.
Albazi will still get a big fight when he does return. I don't know what the extent of his injuries, so that maybe that does make it worse, but I just assume he's still going to get a pretty big fight when he comes back. And if he wins it at that point, he's won 8 in a row or something over a couple of top contenders. It feels like he is the leafy greens of flyweight at this juncture. And at that point in time, it feels like we'd start eating our vegetables a little bit.
If Moreno can't go anytime soon after Mexico, I could see Kape in a title fight if he wins here.
No, you haven't been listening about the meritocracy we're living in now.
I don't think they care that much about blown weight, honestly. Like not when the schedule is as aggressive as they have laid out and the lack of options.
But there's an actual title fight. I kind of agree if Eric, if it's not.
It's one of those. This is what it is. It's one of those situations where they used to be like, you can't trust this guy. You can't trust John Jones to do this, or Hamzat Chimaev. You can't.
Let's say
shut up. They'll fight for a title.
They did it last year with Hamzat.
Yeah,
shut up. Like they'll fight for a title.
Flyweight's like a division where, I don't know. Flyweight, I don't feel is the same as welterweight and lightweight. I feel like flyweight is more the meritocratic division in a lot of ways.
I mean, freaking Figgy missed weight for a title fight, and then he still got a title fight right after that. So
the only reason that's the case, Mike,
title fight. So it kind of had to.
Well, but if Kape wins tomorrow, if he fights and wins tomorrow, then it's not like they're going to still book Kape again for another flyweight fight. It won't be for the title fight.
Yeah,
maybe. I was about to say obviously, but I'll say maybe.
Honestly, I think around. Rick's correct. I don't actually think this changes anything.
Yeah,
I think it hurts him. I think it hurts him this much.
Exactly.
I think
it would have been so much easier.
That much is the difference in the win. I think if he had won tomorrow, he would have gotten it. Now he just has to win impressively. If he gets a knockout, I think you've sold me. A knockout means it won't matter. Now he can't win a decision and get a title shot.
The reason flyweight has been more of a meritocracy is just because of lack of viable people who could sell pay-per-views. Like they just need to keep running back the same fights because those are the guys who sell pay-per-views. And Brandon Moreno and Davidson Figueiredo together is one of those options.
It's a meritocracy till
Bantamweight was the same way for a long time. Bantamweight was the same way.
Yeah, and I don't care
until you can make money.
I just need him in Brazil against Pantoja.
It is pretty. It is pretty.
About the weight, how juicy that is. I can't. That right there is one of my 5 most anticipated fights 2024.
Especially now that they've got the ammunition to.
Face-off happened.
Okay.
Still no word. Still no word on whether or not the fight is happening or not. But they did face off.
That's something.
Oh, it's going to happen with 30% going to Nico. I think that's we're just arguing how much of the percentage goes to him at this point.
We shall see. All right, I think we can hit the music now. We have we'll keep you posted. Stay with us at MMAfighting.com. It's a tremendous website. Sorry. Shout out to the Cap crew. Pour a little bit out. What can I say? Tough day for the flyweight division. Tough 24 hours in some respects for the flyweight division. Amir Albazi out
for Brandon Moreno.
Yeah, Brandon Moreno sitting pretty right now in terms of getting back to a title fight, but got to beat Brandon Royval on February 23rd. But Casey and I'll be back tomorrow, 3:30 p.m. Eastern for the first People's Pre-Fight Show of 2024. And then we'll have all your coverage for the card. We're going to have some fun. I think this is actually going to be a pretty fun watch. Anyways, so thank you all. For New York Rick, for Casey, for Jed, I am Mike Heck. Appreciate you. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night, everybody.
Love y'all.